શ્રી કૃષ્ણાય નમઃ. આજે મને ઇન્ડિકાએ જે અવસર આપ્યો છે એના માટે હું ખૂબ આભારી છું અને આપ સૌના સમક્ષ હું આજે જે પેપર પ્રસ્તુત કરવા જઈ રહી છું એ સમર્પણ ભાવના ઉપર છે જે સુરસાગરમાં પણ દર્શાય છે અને પુષ્ટિ માર્ગમાં પણ દર્શાય છે. I am grateful to Indica for this opportunity, and I would be traveling, making you travel north with me to the Vaishnavism observed in the land of Krishna himself, Braj, after all the South Indian Vaishnavism that we have been listening to since morning. Surdas was one of the prominent poets of the Sagun Bhakti during the 15th-16th centuries, composed and sang verses in Braj Bhasha dedicated to Lord Krishna, which have since then been accepted and sung by the various Vaishnava sects of North India. The verses composed by him have been compiled and known as Sursagar. Surdas has been considered as the pioneer poet among the Ashtchap, or the 8 prominent poets of Pushti Marg, and his verses have been recited by the sectarian authorities and devotees before the various Swarups of Krishna, whom they fondly refer to with the title of Thakurji, or their Lord. However, the American religious studies scholar John Stratton Hawley is of the opinion that the Pushti Marg sect used Surdas verses in its devotional life by giving him a formal place through initiation in the sect as one of the disciples of Sri Vallabhacharya, the founder of the Pushti Marg sect. This paper begins by stating the views shared by Hawley, who was he's been considered as an expert on Sursagar Manuscripts, setting the grounds for an analysis of a certain aspect, namely Samarpan, or surrender, found across the manuscripts of Sursagar. Through a textual and visual analysis, through a textual and visual analysis of selected illustrated Sursagar manuscripts from the 17th century Mewat school of painting in Rajasthan, the paper proceeds to unravel Samarpan as observed in its various forms. While Jack Hawley and Kenneth Bryant have extensively worked on compiling and translating the verses of Surdas and situating him within the larger corpus of the Bhakti movement, Rita Soda in the past has explored the visual aspects of the illustrated Sursagar manuscripts majorly from Mewar through an art historical approach. So although my present paper is informed by both the literary and art historical approaches, I am not inherently using either of them for the analysis here. Surdas was a poet, saint and singer who composed verses in Braj Bhasha in the form of Pad, devoted to Sri Krishna. His contribution through these verses has been significant to the spread of the medieval period Bhakti movement in North India. He was considered to be blind, and there have been many contrasting reasons for when and how he turned blind. The tradition which he inherited was largely an oral one. So whatever we find in Sursagar is basically what he spelled out, what he sang, and there are no written evidence records with dating for it, because people wrote whatever they heard him sing. So when they were unable to write what they heard, that time memory served them. So there are many discrepancies also between what was originally Surdas' verse and what people heard. Sursagar is therefore not a linear text nor a continuous narrative, but it's a collection of individual verses which, although devoted to Krishna, are not organized in a particular manner. Now, Sursagar is actually made by many other verses by lesser known poets also, and therefore giving it the dimension of Sursagar or oceanic dimensions. Now, there have been several hagiographical details available for Surdas, including the Chaurasi Vaishnavon ki Varta, which is a collection of 84 stories in Braj Bhasha of the chief Vaishnav disciple of Vallabhacharya, the founder of Pushti Marg or Vallabh Sampradaya. And these stories are not mere legends, but they are considered to be true accounts of actual persons and real-life episodes. So, Gokulnathji, the grandson of Vallabhacharya, is credited for gathering the Varta, while Hari Raiji, the great-grandson of Vithalnathji, who was the second son of Vallabhacharya, organized the Varta to their present form. Now, among the prominent figures in this Varta are the Ashtchhap Kavi, or the 8 important poets, as I already mentioned. So, 4 of them, including Surdas, were placed within the Chaurasi Vaishnaviki Varta and are considered to be the disciples of Vallabhacharya, while the other 4 are placed under the Basubhavan Vaishnaviki Varta and are considered to be the disciples of Vithalnathji. Now, Hawley is of the opinion that this Ashtchhap edifice represents a major distortion of history, and that in each case it seems to have taken quite some maneuvering to make them into Vallabhites. I quote him here, "This effort to rewrite history is important not only because it throws a particular spin on the question of how a bhakti movement comes into being. If bhakti is a vernacular groundswell whose major medium is poetry, especially poetry of the sort that would typically be sung, then this effort to constrain it within sectarian channels, take a poet's agency and transfer it to his supposed guru, does a fundamental disservice to the contagious reality of bhakti itself. It harnesses the energy of song for theological and institutional purposes that are foreign to its inner spirit." He further clarifies that in 1640, Surdas' verses were already called an ocean, Sursagar, but that there was nothing specifically Vallabhite about it. Now, before I attempt to provide a few answers to the claims made by Jack Hawley, let us begin by having a basic understanding of the Pushti Marg Sampradaya. Pushti Marg, or as translated literally, as Maitriji also said in the morning, is the grace, the mark, the path of grace. It is also synonymous to Vallabh Sampradaya since he was the founder. Now, it is believed that at the midnight on the 11th day of the Shravan Shukla Paksh Ekadashi in the year 1494 AD, Sri Krishna appeared before Vallabhacharya and revealed to him directly the means by which the Jeev might be cleansed of their faults, which is reverberated in the Siddhanta Rahasyam composed by Vallabhacharya. The philosophical system prevalent in Pushti Marg is Shuddhadvait, or pure non-duality. And Damodar and Krishna is supposed to be Sagun, possessed of qualities. Damodar Das Harsani was the first disciple of Vallabhacharya, initiated into the sect through a rite of passage or mantra diksha through Brahm Sambandh, which is a necessary step towards the seva of the Swarup of Krishna. Now, what is interesting to note is that the seva established by Vallabhacharya is that of the image of Krishna, who is treated as the divine cowherd of Braj throughout the day from morning to evening and throughout the year through all the festivals. So, it is performative, and there are performative practices observed within the sect. So, Rag, Bhog and Shringar are extremely crucial to Pushti Marg. Now, the tenets of Pushti Marg are Ashray, Samarpan and Sharanagati, or shelter, surrendering oneself and seeking refuge in the lotus feet of Sri Krishna, which eventually give way to the ritualistic practice of performing seva. The Diksha mantra through Brahm Sambandh that one recites during the time of initiation is that of surrendering oneself along with one's wealth, possessions, and family to Lord Krishna, which comes with the realization that each jeev is an ansh or a part of Sri Krishna. So whatever is his or hers invariably belongs to Krishna. This aspect of surrender is certainly inspired by the Gita, and we also heard Dr. Ravi Narayan ji, even Dr. Vijoya ji talk about Samarpan Bhavana. But I would like to demonstrate how it is seen in Pushti Marg, not only through the written treatises but also through seva. So, in the Siddhant Rahasyam, written by Vallabhacharya ji, he gives the Samarpan Updesh to the initiated Bhakta who has performed Atma Nivedanam or self-submission to Shri Krishna, asking the devotees to dedicate everything that they do and consume to Shri Krishna. Therefore, Nivediti Samarpya Sarvam Kurya Diti Isthiti. Tasmat Nato Sarva Karya Sarva Vastu Samarpanam. So whatever you do, whatever activities you participate into, Krishna asks the devotee to dedicate everything to him. Furthermore, the treatise composed by Sri Hari Rai ji, titled Shiksha Patram, which is a doctrinal treatise, Vallabhacharya preaches to the devotee saying, Ataha Sharna Matram hi kartavyam akhilam tataha yaduktam tat charani riti vakya bhavishyati. So, which means that, and he further also gives the Ashtakshar Diksha Shri Krishna Sharnam Mama to the devotee to recite. So, he states that satsang, that is good or right company, Shri Krishna's smaran or remembrance, and Sharnagati, seeking his shelter, are what the devotees must use their minds for, and everything else besides that would be futile. Now I would like to turn to the paintings. So there are three particular manuscripts that I am considering here, which are the first set of Mewar Sursagar paintings commissioned by Rana Jagat Singh of Mewar and around the time period of 1628 to 1652 AD. Now this particular one is the Vrindavan Bihar and is usually sung in Ragdev Gandhar. The implication of this verse is that Radha is sleeping, as we see her sleeping, and she dreams, and she suddenly is adorned, that she's dreaming, in her dream she's suddenly adorned by 7 moons. So the sleeping Radhika wakes up startled, wondering what were those fragmented pieces that fell upon her chest, and therefore Urpar Shobhat hai Sasi Saath. She narrates her dream to her friend. Perhaps it was the guise of Shiv. I just got started, sir. So she narrates her dream to her friend that perhaps it was the guise of Shiv that the moon had adorned, which scattered and fell in fragments and pierced her through the arrows of passion. Surdas exclaims, addressing Krishna, who beside you, Shyam, can save the earth under such morbid circumstances. So we see Radha in this stop motion animation kind of movement where she wakes up startled and she is narrating her dream to one Sakhi, while the other Sakhi goes to Krishna reporting him about this unusual event in Radha's life, getting scared of her getting startled, seeing her friend getting startled. And of course we see the visual metaphors of Shiv and Kamdev. So interestingly, this is actually a Shringaric verse bringing Krishna and Radha together. However, the other implication over here is that of Samarpan. And the Samarpan of who? But the Gopi. So it is important to note that Surdas changes his voice and utters the verses in another person's voice. So here it's the Gopi. And what is interesting about this verse is also the fact that Surdas is addressed as Prabhu. Okay, Surdas addresses Krishna as Prabhu, but the Gopi addresses Krishna as Shyam. So Krishna is the Samarpan Bhav over here of the Gopi is of Madhurya Ras. It evokes Madhurya Ras, and in no way is Krishna deified here. She does not approach Krishna as the Lord or the avatar of Vishnu, but she approaches him as her friend, her confidant, and the beloved of her and Radha. The second painting that I am considering here is the Govardhan Dharan Leela of Krishna. So Braj is surrounded by an overcast of dark grey clouds, and the Gopi bespeaks everyone else's mind by seeking Krishna's refuge. So describing the dreadful atmosphere, she says that 96 crore clouds have overcast their shadow upon Braj, and a fierce downpour is inevitably taking place in all 4 cardinal directions, making it seem as if the day has turned into night. And upon learning this, the son of Yashoda Krishna embraces the mountain, as we see him uplifting the mountain right from the bottom. And eventually Surdas says that in his signatory chap, that nothing, not even a single drop of rain touched us, because Krishna had embraced, he had held the mountain and we were all embraced under his bhuja, under his arms. So notably, Krishna is again not being addressed as Prabhu or Thakur or Paramatma, but as Shyam by the Gopi. And he is considered as the cowherd who has enticed everyone and shown miracles to the people of Braj, someone whom they can count upon, someone whom they love immensely, but again have not yet deified him in any way, nor worship, yet surrendered themselves to him. So this certainly shows the Samarpan Bhav, not just of a single Gopi, but of all the people of Braj who look upon Krishna as their savior. And this, again, Krishna is not deified. The last painting is that of Vinay Padavali by Surdas ji again. This is a little complicated verse which has a lot of similes, but basically Surdas makes an appeal to his Lord Krishna, asking that why don't you eradicate misery from the lives of those who suffer, just as by catching the glimpse of the greens glistening like gold during the onset of the Ashad month when there is rain. Monkeys grab away, so basically monkeys and parrots and monkeys and parrots, they peck away all the waste, and then the farmer sees the good productive produce and feels happy. And just the way the crane, Kil mean tan chahat aisa raho Prabhu katat. So the way the crane tries to cut the fish, the same way Prabhu please cut our sorrows, is Surdas' appeal to Shyam. Now pictorially we observe all these similes here, but what is important to notice is that, 5 minutes, please, 5 minutes. Okay, this is the last one. So Surdas is rendered twice here. Okay, so we see him rendered twice, appealing to Krishna. One is his own voice and another is the voice of again him, but as Das Bhav. And interestingly, Krishna is observed here in his nascent Vishnu form with the Chaturbhuj and Ayodh held in each arm, seated on a lotus asan, which again reinforces the Dasya Bhav of this verse. So here Krishna is certainly deified, and the Samarpan Bhav evoked here is that of a Das or a Sevak to his Lord. Concluding my paper, I shall turn to addressing some of Hawley's claims. Now the first being that of Surdas being deliberately incorporated into the Pushtimarg sect through the written evidence as observed in the Varka. I would only like to state that Surdas holds an important place within Pushtimarg sect and outside of it. Even if he was, as Hawley argues, incorporated into the Sampradaya, his composed verses have never remained confined to one particular sect, but have rather been shared among the various Vaishnava Sampradayas in Braj, owing to a commonly shared sentiment of love towards Radha and Krishna, whether in their duality or non-duality. He further set certain unrealistic expectations, I quote him, and even within the Vallabhite community, people hold him, that is Surdas, in special esteem. He is not the guru of course, that role is reserved for Vallabh. And he further states, nevertheless, the Varta does not leave its reader with the sense that Sur's devoted service to God is on a higher plane than what the rest of the well-structured Vallabhite community and its leaders perform. Now, this clearly demonstrates Hawley's inability to understand that Vallabhacharya was the founder and propounded Pushtimarg, and no matter what seat of prominence Surdas received in Pushtimarg, a comparison between the famed poet and the founder is but an unreasonable one. As we observe through the few examples of the illustrated Sursagar Manuscripts, the aspect of Samarpan is felt by each character differently, but it certainly and strongly resonates with Vallabhacharya's tenets of Pushtimarg that are not only reflected theoretically through his written treatises, but also manifested into practice through the manner in which Pushti Seva is performed. Therefore, the question of taking a poet's agency and transferring it to his supposed guru does not arise here at all. nor is the energy of song foreign to its inner spirit. Holi has time and again commented upon how Surdas Vinay Pad do not find a place in Pushti Marg, but contrary to this belief, Vinay Pad does find a place as Binti ke Pad, Ashray ke Pad and Mahatmya ke Pad in the Shayan Darshan before Thakurji in the Pushti Marg Havelis. These verses particularly are reflective of the aspect of Samarpan of a Das towards his Prabhu, as we observed in the last illustrated manuscript. If we observe Sursagar verses closely, we realize that Surdas, I'm done sir, we realize that Surdas does don several voices of the characters central to Krishna's life, whether they be that of Radha, Nand, Yashoda, Balram, Sakha, Gop, Gopi, but the verse eventually ends with the characteristic chap of Surdas as in his own voice, as a sevak or das. And this is the same case when a Pushti Margi devotee performs his or her Thakurji's seva, as he or she dons several roles and experiences various sentiments, as that of a mother, a friend, a confidant, or a lover throughout the year by partaking in the festivals as well as the day-to-day rituals, and thereby being a part of his Leela while continuing to remain a devotee at heart. The Sai Bhav is that of a sevak or das. Underneath all those personifications, akin to Surdas, surrendering oneself in all humility to Lord Krishna. And therefore, I would like to end by saying, Dasoham Krishna Tavasi. Thank you.